Christian Geek Central is doing Extra Life again this year to raise funds for children in urgent need of medical care. You can help us out and get some fun rewards at the same time. Stick around after the video for more details. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. We've got a ton going on here at Spirit Blade Productions and Christian Geek Central, including our in-depth Bible study for geeks, movie, game, and other entertainment reviews or commentary, live streams, Christian geek news, original audio dramas, and tons more. And on top of all that, you can become a Spirit Blade insider with an influential voice and get access to exclusive content and rewards. It's your involvement as a patron that will keep all of this going and growing, so I want to thank you for your consideration in that. For more information, please check out our Patreon page through the link below at patreon.com/spiritbladeproductions. Thanks for listening. Well, my editing skills are crap, but can the same thing be said about Venom? Stick around and find out. Oh, crap! I was gonna look up the words. I don't know the words. It's very appropriate for this movie. So happy together. All right, enough of that. I'm Peter Franson from ChristianGeekCentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions. This is my uncut review of Venom. The synopsis on IMDb reads, when Eddie Brock acquires the powers of a symbiote, he will have to release his alter ego Venom to save his life. And that's all they give for the synopsis there. I think it could use a little bit more. He's an edgy reporter who kind of like doesn't he just goes after the story no matter what and gets himself in trouble as a result. And the beginning of the story kind of finds him down on his luck and he's kind of lost a lot of what he'd gained in life, and so he's trying to just make his way along, and then he encounters the symbiote and stuff, and it's connected to this evil businessman scientist that he was trying to uncover the bad stuff that guy was doing, and so it all kind of gets wrapped together, and you know, blah 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 blah. It has the trappings of a sci-fi horror action movie like, say, Predator or Aliens. The plot, though, reminds me a lot of Upgrade. You know, you've got this guy who is suddenly discovering there's another agent active inside of him that is empowering him, and he's talking to this agent that no one else, you know, whose voice no one else can hear and stuff. So there were a lot of kind of beats and moments that reminded me of Upgrade, which I loved. So right now, I think it's my movie of the year so far. But this one still has the structure of a superhero movie origin story, whereas Upgrade went in some different directions. It was rated R, and so it went to some much more, the violence was much more brutal and stuff in that movie. This one still feels, even though it has the trappings, sometimes the lighting, sometimes the character design, and sometimes the musical cues and stuff, little things that you would expect from more of a horror movie, but it still doesn't feel really like a horror movie, even a PG-13 horror movie. The elements can't get too graphic, and they just don't really lean into trying to scare you as an audience member, I don't think. That didn't seem, if they were, then, I mean, I would be surprised if people found this to be a scary movie. There are lighter moments throughout the movie and repeated dodging of what I would call psychological realism, which is something I really appreciate. You know, when you have these fantastical stories and worlds, whether it's a superhero movie or a horror movie, I like it when the characters involved kind of like really freak out about these things, seeing these things, you know, in a way that we suspect someone might actually respond if fantastical elements were to enter into our everyday lives. So not many movies go that direction, but I really like it a lot when they do, and I'm just kind of like, I feel indifferent about movies that don't enter into psychological realism at all. I wouldn't say this movie avoids psychological realism the entire time, but it certainly steers away from it a number of times when I would have liked it to lean into psychological realism. And so the movie really lacked intensity for me because of that. In fact, not just because of that, but the Venom symbiote itself is so powerful in this movie that I just knew after the first combat scene, okay, he's pretty much unstoppable. And even if he gets messed up really badly, he can heal faster than Wolverine. So I didn't feel the stakes at all. There was no danger that I really felt for Eddie Brock. And what you can do in a situation like that, when you have a character who himself can't be harmed, is play up the things that character really cares about, and play up the cost in the realm of the things that he cares about if he doesn't succeed in his struggle, or if he is defeated or something like that. Then make those consequences clear. And I didn't feel a sense of stakes, either physically or emotionally, for Eddie Brock in this movie. There have been stories where Eddie Brock is a tragic figure that I genuinely felt for, but here he seemed, I would say, more down on his luck than really tragic. Tom Hardy is great as Eddie Brock, I think, and elevates the material in the way that he adds sympathetic qualities to Eddie, apart from the actual just dialogue that you would see on the page. And I always appreciate that when actors can, you separate for a moment, okay, what are the words that are coming out of their mouth? What would that look like on the printed page? And then compare that to what that actor is expressing through those words, which they are adding to the script. I mean, it's possible there's a note in the script that would imply subtext, but, I think a lot of times actors can really elevate the material and bring things that are not there in the actual technical spoken words. And I think that's what Tom Hardy was probably doing in this case. I really enjoyed his performance. Michelle Williams is his love interest, and she was fine for me, but her character feels mostly like a prize that's being chased rather than an interesting character to me on her own. The villain is also pretty simplistic, and Riz Ahmed didn't do anything I noticed that added layers to the character design other than what was on the page. It just struck me as another wealthy businessman villain being evil through his mistreatment of the poor. And kind of on that note, the script also makes a point, as the Predator script did a few weeks ago, of telling us in passing that because of the way we're treating the planet, it will be uninhabitable within a single generation. So that must be kind of an idea that's, I guess, floating around and gaining traction. So it's not quite a preachy movie, really, in its liberal politics, but the influences are definitely there. No surprise that would be the case. As far as the stunts and visuals go, lots of CG in this movie. I think that's another thing that kind of took me out of the action when I'm looking. And I'm cursed with an eye. If you haven't heard my reviews before, I've said this many times, so I apologize to those who are hearing me say this again and again and again. But it's for those new folks, I'm cursed with an eye that just picks out CGI, and especially when it's being used to represent some kind of organic life form rather than, say, machinery or something. So the CG creatures just look like highly detailed cartoons to me in most movies, and that this one was certainly it was certainly the case in this one, that they looked like highly detailed cartoons. The final battle looked like this titanic struggle between two essentially video game characters. It actually all just made me want to give the Prototype video game series another try, if you've not heard of those, given how much those games seemed to be inspired by Venom, and then in turn how much this movie seems to be inspired by the kinds of things that the characters in the Prototype games are able to do. But anyway, I don't always comment on music and sound, but one brief note is that the voice effects on Venom made him hard to understand a few times. Not all the way through the movie, but just a couple times I briefly felt lost because I couldn't quite understand what Venom had just said. So is there anything that might stimulate, worthwhile introspection or thought about the truly important things in life, the spiritual matters that we face every day? Well, the villain references the story of Abraham and Isaac in one scene, expressing admiration for Isaac's willingness to be sacrificed. He kind of sees him as the hero of that story rather than Abraham. And then in turn, he was also kind of questioning what kind of God would demand anyone sacrifice their son. My thought was that his admiration of Isaac's obedience to his father in that story is admirable. I would side with him in that, and I would go a step further and say, yeah, and we can and should apply that same honor to Christ, who submitted to his Father and actually was sacrificed willingly. And for anyone struggling with the idea of the other part he mentions, that God would demand, or more appropriately actually in the Hebrew, request is what's going on there, that Abraham sacrifice his son, if you're struggling with that idea, or anyway, I would recommend the book Is God a Moral Monster? I've got it on my bookshelf somewhere behind me. It's by Paul Copan, C-O-P-A-N. Paul Copan, Is God a Moral Monster? In that book, he addresses that question really well, along with other questions that people often raise about what seems on the, at a brief glance, to be immoral behavior on the part of God in the Bible. Eddie Brock And this is, I think, probably the larger theme and the actually intended theme, if any. Eddie Brock and the villain are both pursuing what they believe are noble ambitions, and yet both have done selfish or evil things to accomplish those ends. And as I thought about that while I was watching the movie, I think this is something that Christians should always be considering too as we pursue good things, good endeavors. We should be examining ourselves and and seeing whether or not we are allowing sin to enter into the mix. It is so predictable to me how my own sin and mess get in the mix and infect the good that I try to accomplish, either in my work with Christian Geek Central and Spirit Blade Productions, or in my involvement at my church, or in my home life. It's just so easy to set our minds on a good goal and be ignorant of or justify away the little sins and compromises that slowly accumulate around us in the process. All right, I have no idea what your tastes are in movies, but if I were a time traveler, I would go back time and say, Peter, skip this one. Maybe watch it for free sometime if given the opportunity, but you'll probably want to be playing a game or doing something else at the same time. It's not really going to be enough of your kind of thing to demand your full attention. But if you do watch it, stick around for a post-credit scene that reveals a fan-favorite villain for the presumed Venom 2 that I imagine they're hoping for, along with the casting choice for that villain, which I won't spoil, which felt a little surprising and yet also potentially perfect. So anyway, it's rated PG-13 for intense sequences of sci-fi violence and action and for language. Those are my thoughts. I'd love to get yours in the comments below. Please like, share, subscribe, click that notification bell if you don't want to miss another video. Join us over at christiangeekcentral.com as well. Let's see here. There was something else. Oh yeah, let's see here. Right now, I like to take some time to write a tune for pre-made rhyme. The lyrics kind of never change, but the melody gets rearranged. I never know what I'll create to say how much I appreciate Libre. Libre. Thank you for supporting me and SVP and CGC. And now to all who hear this tune, thank you as well. Please come back soon. Wanna hear your name and song? Check out our page on Patreon. Check our page. Check out a page on Patreon. All right. So there's that. Hey guys, Peter Franson here from christiangeekcentral.com and Spirit Blade Productions. For my 5th consecutive year, I'm participating in Extra Life, a charity event that raises funds to provide medical care for children in urgent need. I'm also leading the Christian Geek Central Extra Life team, which you're still welcome to join by following the link in the description below. Once again this year, I'm drawing attention to our team's fundraising by performing a 24-hour marathon of video gaming that I will live stream to youtube.com/Christian Geek Central and christiangeekcentral.com beginning 6 a.m. Pacific time on Saturday, November 3rd. My goal is to raise $200 for my children's hospital. Our total team goal is to raise $700. You can donate on my page or any team members' pages by following the links below. You'll also find some incentives and rewards for donating to some of our team members. On my page, for example, for $5 or more, you can choose a topic to add to my +2 page of many topics that I'll be blabbing my opinions on during my live stream. For $10 or more, you get that previous reward and a download code for a free copy of the Spirit Blade Legacy Edition audio drama. For $20 or more, you get the previous rewards and you can choose a game for me to play during my November 3rd live stream. You can pick a favorite of yours that's in my library or torture me with something terrible or rage-inducingly difficult. For $30 or more, you get the previous rewards and you can choose a song for me to sing during my November 3rd live stream. Pick an old favorite of yours or just make me humiliate and torture myself with something that nobody wants to hear. For $50 or more, you get all those previous rewards and you get a download code for every MP3 product at spiritblade.com. That's a $90 value. Now, on top of all that, I've set fundraising milestones that will unlock crazy events as I reach them in my personal fundraising. When I reach $200, I will have a free free download day for everyone who visits spiritblade.com on November 7th this year. And every $50 beyond $200 unlocks more free audio dramas for that free download day. Along with free audio dramas, reaching milestones in my personal fundraising will unlock weird stunts that I will pull during my November 3rd live stream, like turning into a monster, reenacting a moment from a favorite horror movie, or playing intensely embarrassing home videos from my past. Now, there are some stipulations and time limits on those rewards and milestones, so quickly follow the link below to my fundraising page for all of the details. I hope you'll be a part of helping me and the Christian Geek Central team do some good for some kids who really need it. And then please join me at youtube.com/ChristianGeekCentral for my 24-hour video gaming marathon starting at 6 a.m. Pacific on Saturday, November 3rd. Hope to see you then.